Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront updates and a bit of a different video. I don't do too many of these kind of speculation and wish list videos, but one of my viewers, Samuel, recently sent me some documents that I have to say are incredibly impressive, because he has basically gone through every single planet and location available right now and added so much content that could fit on them. But not only that, he's also taken a lot of the highly requested planets like Geonosis, Coruscant, Mustafar and so on, and then added plausible reinforcements, heroes, vehicles and such to those as well. As you can see, this is an absolutely massive list, not only showing the actual reinforcements, vehicles and heroes, but also another document where he shows potential abilities for them. And obviously this is way too much to go through in detail, but I will leave you links to the full documents in the description below, and maybe this could inspire DICE a little bit as well if they're looking for reinforcements to add later down the line when they run out of the kind of common ones, so to say, because there was a lot of things in here that I didn't even know what it was. I had to go to Wikipedia and search for them and see, is this canon? Well, most of it actually are. So in this video I wanted to go over Coruscant and his suggestions for how the reinforcements could look there, as well as a couple of other random reinforcements that I found to be interesting and some of which were new to me. So one thing to note here is that you might remember that the Guard and Sentinel reinforcement class was found in the files quite a while back, so that's something he has incorporated here, basically having the Enforcer and Aerial class plus the Guard and Sentinel, as well as an extra Enforcer like the Wookiee Warrior on some maps like Kashyyyk. And I do like that he has added the Wookiee Warrior to the correct maps like Kashyyyk here, and that we don't have it on every single map. So let's start off with one that I really want to see in the game, which is Coruscant, the Jedi Temple. And in terms of the reinforcements here, he suggests that for the Enforcer, instead of having the Wookiee Warrior, which I think is good, we would have the ARF Trooper, the Advanced Recon Force Trooper. And yes, this is also a canon trooper, just to clarify, although the information on them in canon are slightly limited, but basically they were known as the ATRT drivers, and they were lighter armor for stealth and speed, and were also more intelligent and better trained in survival skills in comparison to other clones. And I think that's actually a good idea of adding ARF troopers as the standard Enforcer class on some of the maps where a Wookiee Warrior might not fit very well. And maybe you could even have some type of combination where you pick an ARF Trooper and an ATRT and get bonus, or you become an ARF Trooper if you take the ATRT. Something like that would be pretty cool to see. And as an extra Enforcer, he left this one blank. And the Aerial is obviously going to be the Jet Trooper, just like normal, so I'm not going to go through that. But for the Guard class, we have the Jedi Temple Guard. The Jedi Temple Guard were, like the name suggests, the Guardians of the Jedi Temple. And they can be seen quite a lot in the Clone Wars series. And one of them actually becomes the Grand Inquisitor in the Rebel series. So they were quite powerful, at least some of them. Meaning that they could maybe be a little bit too strong to be a reinforcement. But I wouldn't mind if the Guard class or the Sentinel class becomes something that's kind of in between a hero and a reinforcement. Something you can pick if you want something powerful, but all the heroes are taken. And I think that's a good idea, having the Jedi Temple Guard. Now one thing I can note here when we're talking about Coruscant is that he made a separate one for the Coruscant streets, where he instead had the Senate Guard instead of the Jedi Temple Guard. And these were kind of the elite security force of the Senate, obviously. And they do come in a bunch of different variants, I guess you could say. Because in the Clone Wars series we can see them like this, having more kind of normal battle armor, I would say. Whereas we can also see them in the movie with more of a, I guess you could say, formal outfit, which doesn't look to be very handy in an actual fight. So I think personally I'd prefer the Clone Wars version with the blue armor, as I think those would fit better in the actual game. But I like the idea of having the Senate Guard and the Jedi Temple Guard depending on where you are on Coruscant. And if we move on to the final reinforcement class of the Republic on Coruscant, we of course have the Shock Trooper, the Republic Guards that we can see in Revenge of the Sith, as well as being Palpatine's kind of personal guard when he goes to Mustafar to save Anakin. And we also had the Imperial Shock Troopers in the previous game actually, which obviously is an evolved version of the clone Shock Trooper. But if we then move over to the Separatist side, we have the B2 Super Battle Droid as the Enforcer and the Rocket Droid as the Aerial, of course, and as the extra Enforcer we have everyone's favorite, the Droideka, which we're all patiently waiting to arrive in the game. And I think the Droideka just has to come to the game at some point. It would bring in a very fun gameplay mechanic where we will have to deal with counters to their shields, and it's obviously such a unique droid that has a lot of downsides when it's rolling around and being extremely immobile when it has the shield up, but on the other hand, it's very powerful. So the Droideka as an extra enforcer is definitely something I can see. But if you move on to the Guard and Sentinel classes, we have two droids that I've also seen a lot of requests for and that I think would fit very well in the game. First off, we of course have the Magna Guard. And I'm talking about the real Magna Guards here from Revenge of the Sith. For some reason, the Magna Guards in the original Battlefront 2 game really weren't Magna Guards. They had a very weird gun and they weren't at all like in the movie. So I would love to get a melee based Magna Guard that brings in something new to the table. You know, we have the Flame Trooper, which is what I would argue the most unique reinforcement so far. Very low range but very powerful in close quarters, and the Magna Guard would probably be something similar to that, which would also be something that can counter heroes pretty well. And lastly, we have the BX Battle Droid, also known as the Commando Droid. These we can see a lot in the Clone Wars series, and they're extremely agile, so I'm not sure how well they would be possible to implement in the game, because if they could just run around like the current Battle Droids, they would actually feel kind of underwhelming, considering how agile we can see them be in the Clone Wars series. But if they do decide to fully implement them with all the movement that comes with them, I think that could also be the kind of high-level Sentinel class reinforcement that will be somewhere in between normal reinforcements and heroes and beating the normal Enforcer class. So that gives you an idea of one of these planets, and this is just one out of roughly 30 or 40 examples that he has. So as you can see, there's a lot of good reading here if you want to get inspired for future content. Obviously, I don't think it's likely we will ever get all of this considering how much it is, but a lot of it will probably arrive at some time. And like I mentioned, he did bring up a lot of stuff that I barely knew was canon. Like this, for instance, the Pauwan Warrior. These are the ones that you can see in Revenge of the Sith, and we don't actually see them battle as far as I know. We only see them greet Obi-Wan when he arrives to Utapau. But one thing to note, for instance, is that the Grand Inquisitor was a Pauwan, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that completely wrong, but it shows that they are indeed warriors, and although there are more details about them in the Legends material, they would be a very unique trooper to have on Utapau. And another example of something pretty unique that I really like is that he on Kashyyyk and Felucia added the DC-D1 Dwarf Spider Droid as one of the playable reinforcements actually, because since these are a little bit smaller, I could see them working as an actual droid. Like, you don't have a battle droid inside this vehicle that you then can jump out of, but you become the vehicle slash droid instead. And I would not mind having those kind of things that goes outside the current frameworks that we have with the specific enforcer classes and vehicle slots. But yeah, that is gonna wrap up this video. I had a lot of fun looking through these entire documents, and I spent a lot of time on Wikipedia reading about a lot of the things on this document. I could actually, if you guys want me to, I could do more of these videos based on the same documents, because again, like I said, there's just so much information and suggestions here. I didn't feel like doing a 3-hour video going through it at the first time, but I would give you a little taste and see what you think. But again, if you want to see the documents yourself, you can find links to that in the description below. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.